Good evening, everybody. It's Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
Good to see you all. Thank you for hanging out with us. It was a bear to get all of our stuff set up tonight for whatever reason. But we're here, and we're totally psyched. Post Raw number 88. So we're 12 shows away from that big 100.
Whoa, 3 digits.
3 digits. We're catching up to Wrestleview Weekly. I noticed that Doug started putting the number next to his Wrestleview Weeklies now, which is an impressive number. He was at 126 as of this week.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
That is amazing.
Wrestleview Weekly, you can catch that every Sunday, except on weekends where there's a pay-per-view, you can catch that then at Friday, immediately following SmackDown. Not immediately, but like 10:30-ish, where Doug will do his predictions for those shows, so you can check that out. This coming week, he'll be on Sunday, and then he'll be back on Friday for the Extreme Rules predictions.
I can't believe it's coming up already.
I know.
It's amazing.
I honestly thought that Extreme Rules was this weekend. And
for like this coming weekend?
I thought it was like this coming weekend.
Like this is the go-home show
like
tonight?
This would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. Not quite.
Not quite.
We have another week of this.
Yes. Well, and especially now, it's good that it wasn't this weekend. Because there's a lot of finagling they still need to do, I think.
There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this company. A big report came out today, which will be up in Wrestleview in a little bit, about COVID-19. More people were diagnosed with COVID in the company, up to 30.
30
people now diagnosed with the COVID-19.
Wow.
Meltzer, of course, says it's closer to 40. So you take whatever number you want. Either way,
30, 40, it's still bad.
all reports have it at a pretty big number. And it's definitely odd times to be in the company right now. But before we get into all that stuff, let's say hello to all of our loyal viewers in the chat room tonight. If you're in the chat room, make sure you say hello to us because we're going to be saying hi to you. We got the host of Wrestleview Weekly in the chat room tonight. Mr. Doug Lackey's in the chat room.
Hello.
He says, I think it's 126. I think. I'll have to go back and count.
We're going to have to count now, Doug. Like, oops, wait a minute.
It's going to be tough. We got Michoon Walls in the chat room. Good evening, Tedesco's, and it's my birthday today. Michoon. Happy birthday.
Hello.
Depending on where you are, you either got 24 minutes left in your birthday or an hour and 24 minutes.
Right.
Or longer. Who knows? Trevor Mishke in the chat room tonight.
Hello.
My grandpa thought COVID-19 was a group of scientists like the COVID-19, like the Manhattan Project. That's pretty good. My mom thought when this whole thing initially started, I'll never forget, like my mom, like we didn't see her for like a while. But she had to she started like a new job and she needed like a mouse for her new work computer because she's working from home. And she's like, oh, do you have an extra mouse? I can't get one. So she came over here to get a mouse and she was like wrapped in like plastic. She thought that like COVID was like a cloud. It wasn't just like a virus. It was like a cloud of just germs that was floating around that you could be infected by.
No, but you know what though? Like, I don't blame her.
It kind of makes sense now.
I don't blame her just because nobody knew what was going on. And again, I blindly thought, because this was around, but it was, it didn't hit the states that we knew about like right away like that, where it became like pandemic. It was around like when Liliana had her surgery, and I remember hearing about it.
I remember reading about it on Yahoo. Like right after she had her surgery, we were sitting in the cafeteria at Chop.
Yes.
And I saw this thing, and I hate Yahoo News, and every now and then I just go around to it because they have like ridiculous headlines. And it was like, oh, this new virus from China that could kill us all. Check it out. I was like, bullshit on you.
I didn't think anything of it. I really thought it just hit that area. I thought it affected them only.
I thought it was just in China, and I was like, well, that sucks for China.
Yeah, and I felt very badly for everyone there. I just didn't know the extent of it. Never knowing it would hit here. Never knowing that our last pay-per-view would be our last pay-per-view for a while.
That was the last pay-per-view that any actual fan attended.
I mean, insane.
That is pretty crazy.
Anywho,
we were saying hello to people. Mr. V's in the chat room tonight.
Hello.
Mr. V. Mazel Tov Michoon. Sorry for misspelling. I am exhausted. Hello to you, Tedesco. Thank you, Mr. V. Billy Hefner, Uncle Billy's in the chat room.
Hello.
Still new. And let's see. Jorge, yeah, like still no actual news coverage from mainstream media on the WWE, which just goes to show how woven into the fabric of Americana that they are, which is why they always claim that we got to keep going because we're woven into the fabric of Americana. No one cares. Doug gave a wee. Jorge Oliva here. Hi, and a big hola for you Mexican fans. Great recaps as usual. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Quentin Walters. Greetings, Los Tedescos. How's the first little lady of Wrestleview? Well, Victoria will explain that in a moment. I am not. You know who I'm not seeing. Well, we got Andrew Elder in the chat room as well. Did we say hello to Andrew Elder?
No, we did not. Hi.
Hello, Andrew Elder.
Oh, I know
You're
who you're
the best.
talking about.
There is no
Daniel Schell.
There's no Daniel Schell in this chat room.
All right,
tonight.
so he really has got to like.
He's in trouble.
He's in deep trouble.
He's in trouble. He is absolutely in trouble.
Like, we warned him.
Doug, get on Daniel.
We warned him.
We gave him a fair warning.
We gave him a fair warning. We told everybody to warn him too. Like
he was warned.
Andrew
called him out last week.
Andrew called him out.
I even called him out when I put the post up on Facebook. What do we got to do?
I don't know.
What do I
don't know. I think Alexa Bliss needs to like make more appearances.
Yeah, I know. Ever since Alexa Bliss got taken off of Raw, Daniel's been MIA.
I think that's what's going on.
I think you're right, actually. What a shallow son of a bitch. Wow,
Go on her
Daniel.
Instagram while you're watching Raw. Come on.
Come on.
You could still see her.
You know what? I'm mad at Daniel. Whatever. Let's check out what everybody thought of this Raw tonight before we get started on the actual recapping of the show. I'm trying to just get to it. So we have 74% give this Raw a thumbs up right now. Let's see if you and I agree with it. Victoria, I know first you want to give an update on Liliana. And
yes. So we're going to kind of run the show slightly different tonight just because Liliana's been teething like really, really bad. Mike and I are on like
really, really bad.
Like no
really,
sleep. This is
really
like
bad.
Mike and I is over a week now of like absolute no sleep. When a baby normally teethes, they're obviously uncomfortable, especially at night. Anybody who has a toothache knows that. Usually, whatever. But every time we think like, oh, one tooth pop up, another tooth pops up. So she's like her whole entire like top gum, like you just see little white buds. So she's been waking up almost every hour, basically. So we know she's going to wake up very soon. So I'm going to kind of do like a quick hits of some of my highlights and some of the things I liked, some of the things I didn't like at first. So that way, if I do have to leave and if I don't come back, that way, my thoughts are present. And with the on chance that I am able to come back, but you at least have some of my thoughts on what happened tonight. So that's kind of how we're going to like format the show a little bit. So I'll just get right to it then.
Yeah. Before you do, the great Mr. V, my former co-host on the Teachers Lounge, gives us the authorization to two teachers to put Daniel Schell in detention.
Oh,
Daniel, you're in detention, boy.
I'm telling you, he's gonna be sorry that he didn't come to the Post Raw show.
He'll be sorry. I'm gonna fly out to Ohio and sneeze on him.
Hey, not nice.
Oh, by the way, if you're in the chat room, you're checking this out for the first time, you're watching us on DVR or replay on YouTube. You haven't liked our channel yet, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more great content like we're giving you tonight. And like our video. If you're in the chat room right now, like our video. We really appreciate that. We appreciate everything.
Absolutely.
So, Victoria, the floor is yours.
Okay. And I'm not going to do recaps like you do because that's your thing.
Yeah.
So, but I did like the start of the show when they had Drew McIntyre come out. Even though you knew that there was going to be some sort of promo, and we've been talking about this for a while, especially with the change in authority with the show, that you would see some things, but some things would still stay the same. But as far as like Drew McIntyre coming out, great move. Absolutely. You want your champion to come out first hour, just the way that ratings have been lately, right?
Yeah.
But And Drew McIntyre's really good on the mic. So if he is going to come out and cut a promo, great. That's fine because you're invested in him. He's your champion. Good way to start off the show. So by him coming out and then Dolph Ziggler, love their interaction between the two of them. I like the back and forth. They weren't waiting for the other to speak, that's huge in my book when you have promos like that and people are talking back and forth. It's a natural conversation. I'm big with that, which they definitely delivered on, and I was very, very happy about. But the ultimate surprise with Heath Slater coming into play, amazing. I mean, like, I did not know it was going to happen. I don't know if you had any reports of that.
I knew it was happening.
You knew it was happening. So knowing it was happening, though, were you still, like, excited for it? Or
Well, Heath Slater come back? He's actually literally legitimately fired. But with the 90-day no-compete, they can still utilize him in those 90 days, apparently.
Yeah.
Now, that I never knew.
Right.
That I never knew that they could be utilized. Usually it's like you're fired. It's like you just can't do anything for 90 days.
Right.
But they can utilize you.
Yeah.
So they because of everybody, like so many people, either opting not to work because of COVID or actually having the COVID, they're really short-staffed. So it's like we have to use this nuclear option. I honestly thought that they were going to be bringing Sarah Logan back for like the Riot Squad, the way things were going, and then she wound up pregnant today.
Yeah,
so
congratulations to her. By the way,
congratulations to her. It's a great, it's a great thing. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool to like pull out that nuclear option. Now, obviously, Slater's got to go away and do some work, right? Like the content was there, the story was there for this promo that he cut, but to me, like the delivery on it wasn't like as intense as I like imagine it should have been. Like you could tell he was like emotional, but it just like I liked seeing him there and I was happy to see him there, but I felt like this was like a promo that he should be cutting in 2 or 3 years when he eventually returns, rather than just like, in the week or two before he heads off to Impact Wrestling.
I think with this whole thing, it's very weird to see him in this kind of character, just because he's always been either like a goof or like not really utilized at all, or like a heel but like a goofy heel.
Yeah,
he's never been utilized with somebody like title,
in
a serious run or anything. And I'm not saying he's going to have anything
other than like
serious.
The Nexus when he had like the
that was
haircut of the Wendy's logo.
But he had also like the bare minimum role in that, But people always genuinely liked Heath Slater. And to be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised that he was released initially, just because even though they don't utilize him a lot, he's still like very popular. He has a very strong fan base. Mm-hmm. So I do agree with you, though. I felt like there could have been more emotion behind it, and he could have definitely emoted more into it. But the fact that the content was there, and Drew kind of saved him, because his reactions to everything, kind of speechless, kind of quiet in response.
Yeah, Drew was great in this. Drew was
and
really,
that helped
really good.
it. And I think that you kind of get distracted by, and again, you have that analytical side to you, so you're able to, for you, like your job is to analyze, right? Along with recapping. So, but I think for a person who's not and who's just watching the show, I think they just enjoyed it for what it was, and it was good to see him back. So you're kind of almost distracted by the fact that he really didn't have a lot of emotions, but at the same time, though, he was able to. It worked because of the story was just already built in for him. The story was it's built in.
Yeah.
It's already there because they have a long history together. They're actually friends. It's not like they were just put together at the time.
I agree with that.
So it was there. So I think it distracts from the fact that he obviously needs some work.
My thing was, it just wasn't like intense. It just kind of felt like there.
Well, he never had this role before.
He's never had this role, but when you get that opportunity, you got to seize on it.
You do.
And it's like, it's like I could totally see why, like, when it's like, okay, well, we have to save money and we have to cut all these departments and we got to trim down our roster and stuff like that, like why Heath Slater didn't make the cut.
Yeah,
it's like,
I get it.
You went as far as you could with the kids' storyline and the jokes and stuff like that. Eventually, I mean, even Santino Marella, who's the best character they've ever had in their history in terms of doing comedy, eventually he got let go too.
Yeah.
It's like there's only so much you can do before it's like, okay, time to move on.
I think overall, though, Drew was great in this. Dolph was great in this. Slater served his purpose of bringing entertainment and surprise for anybody who did not know he was coming back.
Yeah.
And I think it did its job. I do. And again, I don't mind the show starting off like this because it was something interesting. So it wasn't a boring segment by any means. Boring talking segment. And eventually it did lead into a match, which was awesome, you know? So, and we could go back more into it after. What?
I just checked the chat room.
Daniel Shell's there.
That little bastard. That little.
Where was he?
He says, runs in the house and eats Tedesco's food, now leaves. I don't even know if he's still in the chat room right now.
What?
But, wow.
What did he say?
He said he's running into our house and eating our food and then leaving.
Oh, Daniel.
Daniel.
You're not eating our food.
There's no food to eat.
We have to go food shopping. So you have nothing. You can have baby food if you want.
Welcome to the show, Daniel. Jeez, it's been weeks.
Gosh.
Now I have to check the poll, see if it's down to 69. No, 76% give it a thumbs up right now.
Come on, Daniel.
We haven't had a 69 since you haven't been in our chat room. Anyway, back to the recap.
We could delve more into it if you want in a few moments, like as far as the opening segment and everything. But I just kind of want to go through my quick highlights, just because. I
mean, it was good to see Heath Slater, and adds the Dolph Ziggler Drew McIntyre storyline isn't enough. Like, to me, it's not enough to carry, to a pay-per-view or even stretch out another week or two. It's like it's already there. Ziggler said that he's keeping the stipulation a secret, until Extreme Rules. So, we won't know until, July 19th what stipulation he's picking for the WWE title match. So how do we string it along? A good distraction this week was Heath Slater. Heath Slater gets beaten seconds by McIntyre, but the story was there, and it was, like that aspect of it was pretty good. I just wish that he delivered that promo with a little more
intensity. Yeah.
Like make it feel a little more raw.
I get that.
It just wasn't there for me.
I get that. I totally do. I 100% do. Drew, what happened?
No, I thought you were going to continue on.
No, Drew McIntyre though. Love him.
He's good.
He's a good guy.
He's good.
He's like good spaghetti. Another thing I really enjoyed was Asuka.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. That when who was that interviewing her again? I always forget her name.
Sara Schreiber.
Okay.
Oh my god. Was that the most magical interview?
Can you explain it and I'll give you
my
thoughts?
I don't have to explain it. I can literally just show the gif of it.
Oh my gosh.
But, talk about it though. Explain what the heck happened. I'm going to be pulling up the gif.
Okay, so basically when they talked, Sara Schreiber said like, "Oh, you're going to be alone tonight," and then when she said, "Am I going to be alone?" and then she starts.
She goes, "Who said I'm going to be alone?"
And then the face and the ha ha,
and then she started like doing
dance.
this like goofy laugh.
Oh my gosh, we rewound that part 3 times. Yep. She is such a delight. She really is. What are you saying wow to?
No, I pulled up the wrong screen.
Oh.
Still getting used to this new technology, but I do love this computer.
She is, with these shows, and I'm not saying that they've been bad shows necessarily, but with these shows, she is just this ray of hope, this ray of sunshine, this everything. She is just life. She is goals. I can watch Asuka. If they had Asuka on TV for 3 hours straight, I would watch Asuka on TV for 3 hours straight. She is just incredible. I can't get over her facials. The dance that she did at the end had me rolling.
Oh my god!
No joke, everybody. We rewound that part 3 times.
That was the best.
3 times.
She goes, "Who says I'm going to be alone?" Start doing that weird dance.
I'm watching it right now.
Asuka is literally, she is.
How did Sara Schreiber not lose it? I don't know. If I had to interview her, I would tell her I cannot do this because literally I would go crazy. Yeah. I really would go crazy.
Asuka is life.
She is life.
That is all
she
there
is
to
everything. Baby's starting to wake up. So real quick, I want to just talk about Seth Rollins real quick, then Kevin Owens.
Oh, okay, yes.
So
Asuka. Daniel says Asuka is wife.
Yes. So basically, the one thing I just wanted to mention is that, Kevin Owens, I'm always indifferent about him. I really like him.
I was really surprised to hear you say that tonight.
Yeah, I really do like him. He is one of my favorites in the sense of, like, I enjoy his moves and his skill set. And for his structure, like his body structure, his body type, he really is, like, incredible in the ring. But I'm very indifferent about him. Like, I just feel like they could do so much more with him. I feel like he's a little bit too back and forth. He's a little bit too whatever. However, that being said, tonight I thought he really had a good interaction with Seth Rollins, and I thought he did really well. In that aspect, I like how he came to, like, the Rey Mysterio's defense, and they had a match together. And I like the roles that he plays, but I feel like he's not consistent enough. I feel like it starts off strong, and then it just kind of dwindles. I feel like he hasn't really found his spot, like, wow. What his I don't know, and I do like him.
You know what? I mean, when you put it that way,
he hasn't really found his. Yeah, he hasn't really, and I mean,
he's gone through, like, a lot of iterations of his character, but, like, nothing's ever been, like, seen all the way.
No,
through.
It's not. It starts off strong, and then it plateaus, and then it never really gets momentum again.
Right, like he was with Sami Zayn for a while, and then that just kind of ended.
Yeah.
He had the thing with Shane McMahon and Vince, and then that just kind of ended.
Right.
He was the Universal Champion, and it just, well, it's time for Goldberg to come in, so that ended.
Exactly. So I'll just leave everyone's thoughts with that while I go get our daughter.
Wow, Victoria making me think over here. Goodness. And struggling to get out from behind the computer over here. She can't move. But, yeah, now that I think about it, like, yeah, Kevin Owens has had quite an odd career, I would say. Yeah, it's like he's never really found that, like, niche to, like, take him to, like, the next level. And he's had good matches. He's had great stuff. It's like, his first night he beats John Cena, his first match on the main roster. At the time, it really was the main roster. He beats John Cena as the NXT champion, but then he, like, lost, like, the next, like, 2 pay-per-views to him. And then, it was kind of just, like, there. And he's always just been kind of there. They give him pushes. He does some stuff. But, yeah, he is a guy that's just there. Well, Victoria leaving us with some good stuff to think about. I'm just happy to see Daniel Shell in the damn chat room tonight. For God's sake. He's been dodging us for quite some time now. Daniel thinks that Heath looked jacked. I thought Heath just looked like Heath. He was just there. He was just did his thing. Now, Doug brings up an interesting point in the chat room as well, that if we didn't have spiky Nerf ball, which is, of course, Doug's way of saying COVID-19 or the coronavirus, we wouldn't have Asuka like this. And I have to agree with that. It's we talked about, like, way at the beginning of this thing. We talked about probably in March about how there are going to be certain people that you won't expect that will step up during this time, because it's no longer about, like, how do you connect with the crowd. I mean, it still is to a great effect, but, like, we can't get that instant, gratification of knowing, like, how it's all connecting. You have to transcend just being an arena performer and into somebody that is now, entertaining, like a TV entertaining, rather than just like, okay, they're entertaining in the arena. It doesn't always connect, through the TV set. And Asuka really did become that, with, like, these, like, just the crazy screaming. You can just see the reactions on Twitter. People are just absolutely loving it. She stepped up big time. Drake Maverick, when he came back, he's another guy that stepped up big time. There's quite a few that really just went the next level. Like, even Akira Tozawa. We wouldn't have Akira Tozawa, because Doug just mentioned he needs more petrified Akira Tozawa. It's like, this pandemic has forced WWE, and we talked about this again before, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but it forced WWE to say, like, okay, we need to think outside the box in a big way. We really do. So we get these cinematic matches that we never, ever would have gotten. It forced WWE, like, really just change the entire structure of everything that they do, which is a good thing, because the formula has just been so tired. We've talked about, the formula just being like, oh God, like every contract signing has to end with a big brawl. We have two people in the ring that we don't want to lose, so DQ finish. It's like, tonight in a champion versus champions match, which almost guarantees like a DQ finish, we had a finish. Yeah, it was like, I can't even say that it wasn't a clean finish. Sasha Banks tried to run in, Bayley, Kairi Sane spears her, and Asuka picks up the win. Like that's a clean victory. Like, they're doing different things, to try to change up that formula of the show, and I really I can appreciate that. And they're taking risks on people that with an arena crowd they wouldn't take a risk with, really. They tried to go with Asuka, and then it's like, well, damn it, she doesn't have a perfect English accent, and we can't understand her. And I took Jim Ross off commentary because he sounds like a Southerner, so we're taking Asuka off because we can't understand her. That's it. Okay. Now she's like the star of the show. Asuka is a good portion of the entertainment on Monday Night Raw right now. That's really something, and we wouldn't have had that without the pandemic. So there's always a bright side to everything. There is. Daniel's saying he hasn't been invested in Raw or SmackDown lately, especially since coronavirus started. And then you also have that, the people that are left still watching the show. You'll find things to enjoy. But yeah, I have to agree. Like, still, with the crowds that they have there right now, it's still a tricky show to navigate and watch and enjoy in a sense. Just because, it just doesn't have that feel, that excitement, and it's tough to watch wrestling without people making a ton of noise. Anyway, getting back to this show, I'm looking at, so we already talked about the Dolph Ziggler thing. Heath Slater loses to Drew McIntyre in mere seconds as he goes off to Impact Wrestling. I really do believe that is where he's going. Rhino apparently. I haven't watched Impact Wrestling. I don't know if I've ever watched an episode of Impact Wrestling on purpose in my entire life without like having to I have to recap this or whatever. But I haven't seen Impact Wrestling since in full since they were on Spike maybe. Like their Destination America thing was, we never carried that. I don't even think we have Access, or Access is part of like a different cable package that I'm not paying for that extra tier just to get just to get Impact Wrestling. No way. So and I'm not going to watch them on Twitch either. And apparently not a lot of people watch them on Twitch anyway. Jerome Weiland told me the numbers that of people, like he'll check it out every now and then on Twitch, and for a company that, it's 10 years ago now, but on Spike TV, everybody was laughing at them because they were doing 1.3, 1.4 million people watching the show, or and sometimes 1.8, and people were like, oh God, that's an embarrassing number. It's like AEW and NXT would kill for that number these days. They would kill for that number. But Impact, 10 years removed from, averaging 1 million on Spike TV, on Twitch, they average about 10 to 12,000 people watching. I would sign up for that for our YouTube channel, but when you're, a wrestling company with the backing of Anthem Entertainment behind you, that's a little rough. That's a little rough. Anyway, so I do believe Slater is going to be heading over there. Let the speculation begin as to what the stipulation will be for McIntyre and Ziggler. Okay, so I love putting over Wrestleview whenever I can. And granted, there's always a chance that it could happen. But it just feels like one of those things that's like, okay, we have a narrative in our mind of what we want. So many people, whenever you do a report, you throw up a report by Dave Meltzer, if they don't agree with it, it's like, well, fucking Meltzer doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a piece of garbage. Take everything he says with a grain of salt. But Dave Meltzer all of a sudden says that Kairi Sane is going to be retiring and going back to Japan and this and that. she may very well go back to Japan for an extended time. The woman just got married a few months ago. She might want to go back home and, enjoy this time with her husband, take some time off, do a honeymoon, whatever. Doesn't mean that she's retiring. But apparently she was gone. And, Nia Jax had something to do with it, or they're going to do like a big... This lamp is crooked. They're going to do like a big injury angle with her or whatever and knock her out. And then of course, like on SmackDown, they announced this champion versus champion match with Asuka and Bayley. And initially they had Kairi Sane in the advertisement for it. And then once this report came out, they removed her. I think this is just a case of WWE screwing with the people on the internet and the people that want to have this narrative, of Kairi Sane retiring because she's been injured too many times by Nia Jax or whatever. It's like, look, you already got your way. Nia Jax isn't on the show right now. They're not utilizing her at the moment. She had her opportunity, and then that was it. Nia is gone for the time being. It's like, but we still have to do, more. It's like, there has to be, we have to try to cancel Nia Jax out by saying that she's making Kairi Sane retire. It's like, that's not at all what's happening. And of course, Sasha Banks and Bayley are in the ring and they're putting themselves over. Asuka comes out and says that Banks is not very good at math. As for Bayley, she's not ready for Asuka. Bayley says Asuka isn't ready for Banks to humiliate her like she will at Extreme Rules. And Asuka mentions that Banks is not competing tonight. But Bayley cuts her off and says, well, Banks is ready for anybody at any time. So I love when they do this with Banks and Bayley, where it's like, okay, the other person starts making decisions for the partner, and the partner is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So Bayley says, Banks will take on anybody at any time. And so Asuka is like, okay, here comes Kairi Sane, who's supposed to be retiring. Kairi Sane is out there to face Sasha Banks, and that is happening at right then and there. They actually go and have a good match. They do. I actually kind of really enjoyed this match with Kairi Sane and Sasha Banks. Bayley at ringside was pretty funny, but Banks and Kairi Sane, they really meshed well in this. They actually had some good chemistry, and to the best of my knowledge, this match has never been done before. I don't think they've ever done Kairi Sane versus Sasha Banks. And it was a good match. They did a DQ finish, so because they don't want Banks to be beat by somebody who's retiring, right? And it sets up later on, like it gets Kairi Sane back involved. The DQ finish sets up the main event, so it's all storytelling. Like this time, I don't care about a DQ finish. And in fact, if I go through the results, I'm sure I'm going to see that there hasn't been a lot of DQ finishes in recent weeks on Raw too. So I appreciate that even more. But good back and forth match. I particularly liked the insane elbow to both Bayley and Banks at ringside to finish this all off. I don't know why these GIFs like usually they play like on a loop, and it's probably like a setting on the new computer that I have to figure out. But I have to keep clicking on it to make it play again. But I do enjoy watching it. It's not a bad thing at all. Anyway, moving on to the show. That was some pretty good stuff. Viking Raiders backstage, practicing bowling. Big Show walks up, slaps them to get them motivated for their match against Randy Orton, Andrade, and Angel Garza later on. Kevin Owens in the ring. So Kevin Owens is back. Kevin Owens decided, when the first outbreak of COVID really happened in the company, apparently he decided, I'm going to go home until, there's a little, until we figure out who has COVID and who doesn't. Well, apparently they did enough to get him to come back for these tapings, which I believe this Raw was taped this past Friday. I think they taped 2 episodes of SmackDown on Thursday, Raw on Friday. I guess they didn't want to. They're trying to keep the rosters separated. Usually, what they've been doing throughout the pandemic, since they started this taping schedule, was taping Raw and SmackDown. So they don't exhaust their crew. Making them tape for 6 hours or whatever. But with COVID running through, SmackDown. I mean, you can really see just how obliterated the roster is from this COVID thing. Now, it hasn't been announced who has it and who doesn't, except for those select few like Kayla Braxton, who got it for a second time, Renee Young, Adam Pearce, and Jamie Noble, going, on their social media accounts and saying that they have COVID. We don't know who has it. I reached out to WWE. When I reached out to WWE, I said, you guys have been pretty forthright about, all the positive tests, when the first one happened, the second one happened, just for transparency's sake. Obviously, I'm not asking for names because that would be a HIPAA violation, but can you at least give us a number, just for transparency's sake? Never heard back. And they're usually pretty good at getting back with statements and stuff like that. They don't want anything and any official numbers out there. So the fact that they're letting the numbers 30 to 40 people float around without releasing a statement saying, well, that's patently false, and that is not the case at all. We have not had 30 people test positive for the virus or whatever, or even releasing a statement that says like, oh, our testing policy, has, let us know ahead of time who has it, and it's kept numbers down and there is not an outbreak or whatever. They didn't release anything like that. So maybe, like when stuff like that happens, just having reported, the news for a while now, and also being involved in wrestling media for so long, makes me think that if it's not close to the real number, if it's not the real number, it's pretty damn close to the real number. So I do believe 30 to 40 is right there, since they're not saying anything about it. So if it was the case, they would say something. So Kevin Owens, they talked him back into it, or whatever it is. He's out there. He has Seth Rollins as his guest. Owens kind of pokes fun at him for beating him at WrestleMania, and then says that, what the hell was the point of this? Actually, I'm trying to even remember. Seth Rollins just goes into him and says, I'm not on the show for you. I don't give a damn about you, your show, or your shirts. I'm here to challenge Rey Mysterio to a match at Extreme Rules. I'm using this platform to do that. It's time to permanently make Mysterio a sacrifice for the greater good of Monday Night Raw. That brings out Rey Mysterio with his son Dominic. And I have to say, Dominic's name has, like, in terms of, like, WWE, it's gone through a couple of different changes. Usually it was Dominik, and then it was Dominick. Now it's on the graphic tonight. It was Dominick. So that's what I'm going with. That's the spelling I'm going with. Dominic is out there with him. Does Rollins really believe Owens will fall for his BS? Because Rollins was trying, at the end of it, Rollins was trying to get Owens to join his side and fight for him. Mysterio accepts at Extreme Rules. Rollins' destiny will be in his hands. Before this all happened, Aleister Black was supposed to team with Rey Mysterio, but Aleister Black was attacked backstage, and a Rey Mysterio mask was put on him. So Mysterio is still going to face him. He's going to face him in a 2-on-1 match, but then Owens offers to be Mysterio's partner, and even goads Seth Rollins into accepting that the winning team will get to pick the stipulation for Extreme Rules. So that was a good little segment just to set up the match. We have the tag match itself. The tag match is pretty darn good, or as Booker T would say, good, which they also brought up in a tweet. So Rey Mysterio is back, and he is good. Which is also, I'm a little worried for Liliana, because Victoria and I will also say that to her. Like, if she does something. So, like, on Father's Day, Liliana decided that was the day I'm going to pick myself up and stand on my 2 feet, which is something that when we got her diagnosis in June of 2019, they said don't hold your breath on her being able to stand on her own at all, or unless she has braces, and even then it's questionable. And she stood on her own. And, like, the first thing was like, you are so good! Good! Like, anytime she does anything, it's always good. We always talk like Booker T. So I'm really afraid that Liliana is going to think that is how you say good, and run with that for the rest of her natural life. That would be terrible. We don't want that. But that was still a pretty cool surprise when she did that for us. Good kid, always surprising us. Initiators in the chat. Oh my gosh, I totally neglected the chat room for a little bit. We got Nafis in the chat room tonight. I haven't watched Raw in 3 weeks now, and I'm very happy with my choice. Just dropping by to say hi, and I'll catch you all on the video on demand. Hope everyone Tedesco's in chat is doing well. Thank you, Nafis. Awesome. My God, Mike, you're looking better day by day. That camera. Thank you. I wish that was actually the case. Hayden Barker's in the chat room. Wee! Late as always, but that's all right. We're happy to have you here. Florida being Florida. Yeah, that's true. Florida's outbreak numbers are ridiculous. What's going on down there. Do you think the number could be higher, Mike, and that's why they're being mum about it? And now that could be too. You know, I'm thinking it could be around 30 to 40, but you know, if it comes out even if it's even higher, that would be something. Wow. Oh my goodness. Hayden says, I had calipers until about 8 years old, but I trained myself out of them. So yeah, that's what we're hoping for too. Now, a little side note just about Liliana's recovery, because I know, you know, sometimes it's okay to talk about real life on these shows, you know, in between talking about the wrestling. And I will get back to that tag match momentarily. We had to go to CHOP in Philadelphia, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, on Wednesday with the baby. And we thought we were going down there to get her fit for orthotics. You know, she's going to be 9 months this Saturday, and the physical therapist thinks that she might benefit from orthotics now to move her to the next level. Not just ankle orthotics, you know, AFOs to get her to, you know, keep her feet straight and stand, you know, just give her a little aid in standing. And that was what our physical therapist was saying. But when we got to CHOP and their specialist looked at her and everything she was doing and standing and her balance, like everything was there, they said they wanted to hold off on orthotics for her in general. Now, they're not saying, they're not totally ruling out orthotics, but they don't want to start her on it yet because they think that she might be able to figure it out and get the muscle memory on her own. So we're really, really hoping for that. Hayden, Hayden's been totally awesome ever since we found out about the diagnosis, giving us links and lots of support, as everybody else has as well, as giving us tons and tons of support. So I'm happy to share that news with everybody as well. Getting back to the show and this tag match, Rey Mysterio is 45 years old. He's gonna be 46 in November, and it's always like, oh, when is Mysterio gonna hang it up? And you know, like they always do these retirement things because, well, once you're over 40, you're old, and that's it for you. Mysterio moves better than some of the guys at 30. You know, like the guy, he is just so damn good. And because he wears a mask, you can't even see that he has any wrinkles. His body looks in great shape. You know, he was great in this tag match tonight. He really, really was crisp. Everything was there. Dominic, I think when Dominic starts going, I think, you know, they you know, it's not about looks. But he's a little like he needs to either grow a goatee or, you know, have some stubble or something. He's still a little too baby faced. I think, you know, once they get going, you know, have Mysterio pass the mask on to his son. I think that'd be better. But Rollins, Dominic has been really, really good in his role. It's a lot of pressure. You know, I believe the guy is 22 years old or 21 years old, maybe even younger than that. I have to look it up. In fact, because I have a good computer that won't freeze up just because I'm looking something up, I can. Oh, he's 22 years old. Okay, it won't freeze my screen just from doing that. So that's always good. Yeah, Hayden makes a good point. I mean, look at R-Truth at what is it? Like 48 yeah, he's 48 years old. 48. That's pretty good. Initiator, good point. Teaching her to walk before an elbow drop, you're doing it wrong. There's actually a great video, and I'm just putting out that she was totally safe. There was nothing. Obviously, I was not putting her life in danger, but of me, like, you know, fake dropping an elbow drop on the baby. So so she's learning elbow drops. We're getting there. Anyway, yeah, Mysterio he's crisp. Dominic is 22 years old. And it's a lot of pressure. Like, you know, he really, like, I haven't seen anything that says like Dominic Mysterio has had a match anywhere or on any independent show, before the whole pandemic shut everything down. So far as I know, he's just been training. He hit a 619 at Survivor Series. Like on Brock Lesnar in a big match situation with his father. Like, that is a big deal. He even hit a frog splash in that match. Like, everything he's done, it's minimal, but for a kid that's never performed in front of crowds before, he's technically Eddie Guerrero's son in WWE storyline. His blood relative, at least, is a biological son. He's been great. He's hit everything. The thing where he had to evade Murphy and Austin Theory. Austin Theory, who, by the way, has not been around since all these numbers have started spiking. It's unknown if he has COVID or if he's just took himself out of the option of appearing because of the COVID. We don't know. But he's definitely not there. He did great in that segment too. He didn't miss anything. And even Rollins getting in his face, like, he looks good. Everything works with the guy. But so there's a ton of pressure on this kid, and he's seeing it through. I think Hayden, as someone with spina bifida, you learn to drop and roll early to avoid hurting yourself. That's true. Yes, she does. She's pretty good at it. And he said, like Hayden also says, the pressure on Dominic must be immense. And I agree with that. But he's coming through with flying colors and looking great. Now, I think everybody knows I'm not the biggest fan of this Seth Rollins storyline with the boring promos and the slow talking and all that jazz. It's not my cup of tea. But with the storyline with Rey Mysterio in the eye, that great visual of Rollins shoving his eye into the steel steps, they hooked me in this storyline. They got me kind of excited for this, and I've been dreaming for probably about a month and a half since that whole entire angle happened the night after Money in the Bank, that they're eventually going to do a blindfold match or something like that. So Mysterio's team wins. Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio beat them. They pin Murphy. Aleister Black comes out, and then there was a couple great moments in this match too, where when Rollins got in Dominic's face, he wanted Dominic to hit him so that he would win by disqualification. So they were using the actual rules of the match to kind of play into the storyline, which was great. So it's like all of a sudden there's like this strategy involved, and Rollins is actually really smart. And even when Aleister Black came out, Rollins immediately dropped down and was like, come on, hit me so I can pick the stipulation for the match. And they held off each time. So that was some good storytelling right there. And they hooked me up in this thing the entire time until Rey Mysterio gets on the microphone and says, now I get to pick the stipulation for the match against Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules, the Horror Show. And which last week it was Extreme Rules, the Horror Show. This week they're going back and forth of calling it the Horror Show at Extreme Rules. Whatever. Mysterio challenges him to an eye for an eye match. And I was like, okay, eye for an eye. Like, what does that mean? They're going to have a patch over their eyes each. And really, I was thinking blindfold match. But then Rey Mysterio said, I will pull your eye out with my bare hands. And then the commentators had to talk in their low voices. And I can't believe it. He's going to pull his eye out with his own hands. And this is crazy. This could be a horror show. It's like, who actually thinks that Rey Mysterio is going to actually going to rip Seth Rollins' eye out of his head? That like that takes like a good storyline where they have Dominic involved and there's like all this family drama and this and that. I mean, it's almost as absurd as a ladder match for the custody of Dominic, but at least you're not ripping somebody's limb, like actual, eye out of their head or ripping a limb off. You're not actually promising that. The custody thing was just really just a contract on, ladder match, whatever it is. It's like, okay, it's goofy, but you can do it. You're not ripping anybody's eye out in this match. It's not happening. So why not do a blindfold match? They're both talented guys. I always go back, one of my favorite, most underrated WrestleMania matches of all time, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick the Model Martel at WrestleMania 7 in the blindfold match. That might be the best match on that WrestleMania. It might be. It very well might. You got two talented guys, Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins, and they can do enough. to make that interesting. And if there's ever a time you're going to do a blindfold match again, it's without an arena crowd. It's with a very friendly and forgiving paid WWE audience at Extreme Rules. Like I just thought that would have been like better than saying you're going to rip the guy's freaking eye out. Ugh. So we'll see what happens there. It could be just as simple as like, whoever gets their eye shoved on the steel steps first, but it just takes away from, the match and the intensity. I think it would have been more intense to have a blindfold match. I really do. Andrew Elder, I don't know, stupid Terry Funk in the empty arena got his eye poked with the piece of wood with Jerry Lawler. That's a good point. That was the empty arena thing. He did get the eye poked, but it didn't get poked out. I mean, they're promising, they're essentially saying we're ripping the guy's eye out. That's what he said. I'm going to rip your eye out with my bare hands. It's so like, yeah, I did think of like Terry Funk, my eye, Lawler, you bastard, my eye. I did think about that, but they're saying they're going to rip the eye out. Like, and so I have to go with what they say and what they're promoting and what they're trying to sell. And, with the campy cinematic stuff, it's possible that they might be freaking going for that. So, ay. Andrew Elder says it's going to be like Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I think so. Initiator, what's Dominic's character in 5 years, though? Because I don't see the Dom versus Braun anytime soon. I don't think so either. And that's a good question. Like, after the match, I guess he's going to eventually have a tag match with his father. And I hope that, I hope they can hold off on that until they have people in the arena. But like, yeah, where does he go? Maybe like that's when they send him down to like NXT to like get his seasoning or whatever. But it's kind of that would almost be like a step back or whatever for Dominic, but it's tough to also learn on the fly on the main roster. But sometimes I guess you have to do what you got to do. So we'll see. Dominic's character is yet to be determined. So far, it's been like it hasn't even started yet. So we have to just kind of see where it goes and how it connects. But Dominic is doing a great job. He really, really is. Oh, we got a special guest coming back, so you don't have to keep staring at my face. I'll let her get back situated, and then we'll pick it up with Victoria as well. In the meantime, we can talk about Bobby Lashley and MVP and the new United States Championship. Okay, well, Victoria's here now, so we can do it with Victoria. Victoria, hello.
Hi.
What did you think of the new United States Championship?
I was actually thinking about it while I was in the room with her.
You were?
Yeah, I was.
That's a weird thing to do.
Well, I was thinking about the show and things that I would talk about, things that were on my mind and stuff like that. It's interesting because I like this new role that, I like the combination between Bobby Lashley and MVP. I do. And I really do think they have a great dynamic. And this is everything I kind of, everything I definitely wanted. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
With it. Bobby Lashley desperately needed MVP to be his, his guy and manage him. And it just makes sense overall. Like, overall, it totally is what needed to happen. I'm just now I'm like getting picky. I feel like I just feel like now we need to move on from like Apollo Crews and like Cedric Alexander, all that type of stuff. I feel like we need to kind of just evolve from that now. I don't know where, but with them, I feel like now we just need to move on.
From Apollo Crews?
Yeah.
So you're not on the Apollo Crews bandwagon?
No, not really.
Wow, my goodness. So what about Apollo Crews don't you like?
So that I don't like him. I just like I said, I want like different matchups. That's all. I'm not even saying from Apollo Crews' perspective. I'm talking about like Bobby Lashley and MVP just in general.
Yeah. Well, taking a look at this nice United States Championship, WWE gets a lot of crap about their title redesigns. And like, granted, I agree with a lot of people when they say like the Intercontinental Championship is just plain fugly, like really, really ugly. This is one of their better redesigns in quite some time. I think it looks really, really cool. The eagle, they got the flag in the background, kind of. They got the stars. It looks great. Now you talk about new matchups though. They are going with MVP and Bobby Lashley. I'm sorry, MVP and Apollo Crews for the United States title.
I don't think you were getting what I was saying before.
I don't.
I really don't. I want kind of Bobby Lashley and MVP to move on from Apollo Crews at this point. I feel like they're. That's what I'm talking about. I thought you were talking about the championship itself, like not the actual like look of it. I thought you were talking about like the feud.
The new look.
The new look is cool. Absolutely. Like I don't really have much to say other than that it looks neat, and I agree with you on the fact of that. I'm talking about overall. Like I'm not saying I don't like Apollo Crews. I like Apollo Crews. I just think we have to move on from this feud with. If okay, let's put it this way. If Apollo Crews is not going to join the stable of MVP with Bobby Lashley, I don't really care anymore.
Okay.
Like I would prefer that they move on from each other and that be the end of it. Like I get like, Apollo Crews having to with his title or what he has to kind of move on. Like, you know what I mean? He has to evolve and yeah, okay, better matchup Bobby Lashley. I don't know. I'm not feeling like the feud anymore. Like if he's not going to join them, I really don't care. That's where I would almost rather them like start over with something else. Like MVP, Bobby Lashley could do something else and then Apollo Crews is his own thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Now, I honestly think that it's going to wind up with Apollo Crews having to join like joining MVP stable. But if that's not the direction it's going, yeah, it's time to move on. I gotta tell you,
it's taking a while to get there.
I gotta tell you, like Apollo Crews is a babyface. It's still not doing much for me, like at all.
I think he's a great talent too.
He is a great talent, but him being like the happy-go-lucky, goody-two-shoe babyface, just
not believable.
It's like it's not even that's not believable. It just doesn't connect. Like and it never has. He's been around for a while.
Yes.
I was there when he debuted on NXT at the Takeover in Brooklyn in 2015. So Apollo Crews has been floating around in this company in the system for quite some time, and just never took off. They put him with the Titus Worldwide thing.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
No, and
then he was the smiling guy, and then that didn't work, and
they just did so much with him. Like he cried one week, and he was up again.
Oh yeah, you're right. That too, yeah.
And it killed it. And so it's hard for me. And I said I'm not trying to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but it's really, really hard for me to kind of get into anything with this feud because I just like let's get on with it already. I feel like it's taking so long, and. Excuse me, the only reason why it needed to take a little bit longer with MVP getting Lashley because there was Lana in the picture.
Right.
Apollo Crews doesn't have anybody on his corner.
Agreed.
So it's like just get on with it. Like don't drag it out anymore. And it's not to say that I'm not enjoying their interactions per se, but I just want it to be I want better for Apollo Crews. So it's hard for me to even be like, with a new title look. For me to be excited about anything. I don't know. That's how I feel. And again, I'm not trying to be negative. It's just an opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that aspect of it. Now, I do think that they're utilizing MVP pretty darn well.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And putting him in a United States Championship match was not something that I ever thought was in the cards for him.
No.
At this stage in his career. I would love to see MVP as United States Champion with Bobby Lashley as his muscle, and then, have Bobby Lashley go back for the title again at some point as well. So they're going to try to bring both titles in their stables. Like that seems to be working, with Bayley and Sasha Banks as
Did you talk about them already?
Not yet. Well, I talked about them a little bit, but we're going to get to the main event. Like I talked about the Kairi Sane's return and Sasha Banks and Kairi Sane, but we'll talk about the main event.
Well, I don't think I'll be able to.
But, is she getting up again?
Yeah.
Oh, well. The baby is teething, like we said, so we'll do our best. Bobby Lashley and MVP versus Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Before the match, like as MVP was putting the title around his waist and saying that he's technically already the champion since he pinned Apollo Crews. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander said that, well, Apollo Crews, again, and you're right, Apollo Crews is now injured again in storyline and out. So Cedric Alexander and Ricochet are there to defend his honor. And they, you can see why they're not doing anything right now with them, because their promo was pretty boring. The delivery stunk. All right, I'll take you off the screen. Ricochet and Alexander were like, "Oh, you're in the Hurt Business? Well, you're about to go Chapter 11." It's like, good line, man. Good line. Good stuff. You can kind of see why they are a nothing tag team right now. Bobby Lashley and MVP versus Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Bobby Lashley and MVP pick up the win in short order. Not much of a match, just there. I did say, though, in my tweet, I said Cedric Alexander and Ricochet are not a bad jobber tag team, but they're too talented in the ring to be doing just that. Maybe they should be the ones to expand MVP stable. So I was saying, Apollo Crews is, Apollo Crews should join the MVP stable. I like that. But Ricochet and Cedric Alexander as the muscle, or something to expand their stable, that might be something. And then, of course, later on in the show, MVP and Cedric Alexander are talking. I kind of like that. Jorge Oliva, great F1 shirt. I don't know what that is. I at least I didn't see it. I wasn't looking at anybody's shirts tonight. Andrew Elder, no wonder Heyman got fired. Clinton, CJ Bowman in the chat room. That was so bad. Who says you'll go Chapter 11? I know, it's like, I don't know who signed off on that, and the way they delivered it was like Ricochet delivered it like he goes, well, you say you're a businessman, but you're going to be losing stacks because you're in the Hurt Business. Well, we're going to send you to Chapter 11. It's like, oh no, that's not what we're looking for, man. That's not what we're looking for. That was nothing. But they're talented enough where if they had a mouthpiece, they could definitely go places. And MVP would be a great mouthpiece for them. And again, it's like, Apollo Crews has been floating around for so long and not connecting. It's like, why not just turn him heel, put him with MVP? Again, and these two as well. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander are the most bland personalities on earth. Put them with MVP. A great talker, a great mouthpiece. Let that be the stable. I think that would be incredible. Ric Flair is at the show tonight despite the big outbreak. Again, he's back. He's backstage with Andrade, Angel Garza, and Zelina Vega. He walks up to them and says, "Hey, last week you said to do everything you wanted and accomplished it except beating the Big Show. I don't know what happened, but it doesn't matter. If you fail tonight, everyone, including me, will have to answer to the Legend Killer." Randy Orton walks up and says, "You're third-generation talents, both of you, Andrade and Angel Garza. But if you get in my way, you'll be introduced to the Legend Killer." So that's that. We got this six-man tag, the Big Show and the Viking Raiders versus Andrade, Angel Garza, and Randy Orton. One really, really great match. Not great match. I mean, a great segment in this match was like Randy Orton warned them ahead of time. Don't screw up. Now, Angel Garza and Andrade, they've been having issues, and they've been showing that through the weeks that, these two are just not getting along. So Angel Garza starts yelling at Andrade at some point in the match when Andrade just got taken out. And then Randy Orton's like, "Hey, come here. Come here." Shoves him, grabs him by the throat, and basically says, you're a third generation talent. I respect that, but you better not screw with me. You better not screw this up, or I'll put you in the dirt or whatever. I'll have no issue taking you out. Or it was very intense, very indicative of just how red hot Orton is right now. Orton in his early 40s is still a force to be reckoned with on this roster. He's kind of reinvented himself. And just showing like, you don't need to do, 10,000 intricate moves in a match to be over. If you got a solid character and a good base. Now, Randy Orton, of course, has a lot of history to fall back on as well. He's been around since 2002 doing his thing on television. He's got a lot of history, but he's still really, really damn good. And I think he'd be this good even, with if they put a little momentum behind him and pushed him if he debuted in 2015. I think he'd still be. I think the cream always rises to the top. Cream of the crop. Cream of the crop. So, good stuff. And again, this is the stuff that I've been talking about with Bruce Pritchard that I really, really like. And it kind of, like I always say, I always go back to that one Raw in 2002. Maybe one day I'll do a retro recap of that Raw, where it's the lead up to SummerSlam 2002. The Rock is out there in the ring talking about facing Brock Lesnar with the Undisputed Championship on the line. And Eddie Guerrero interrupts. And Eddie Guerrero was not involved in that storyline, but they went back and forth. And Eddie Guerrero talked about how his daughter has a poster of The Rock on her door, and he ripped the poster off the door. And it's like these two guys that are in two different feuds. Eddie Guerrero was feuding with Edge at the time. Rock is obviously feuding with Brock Lesnar. Just for that one show, they converged. Those two things converged, and they met up. I love that kind of interaction, and like people don't exist on an island. It's everybody's backstage and they're all doing something. It's cool to see Randy Orton interacting with Andrade and Angel Garza. And I have to say, a couple of years ago this wouldn't be happening. Just Randy Orton can only hang out with the big leaguers. And here he is with them. And then this interaction that he had with them was really, really good, and it was a really, really neat story to tell. There's nothing really that can be done to get me pumped up to see Randy Orton versus The Big Show. I'm guessing they're going to do this at Extreme Rules. There's nothing they could do to get me pumped up for that. But this tag match was just good enough to get me through to another week. I love the interaction again with Orton, Andrade, and Garza. It dragged a little bit at times. They took it a little too long, but it went well. CJ Bowman remembers that. Rock just clowning Eddie was hilarious. I especially like when Eddie talked about ripping the poster off the door and stomping on it, and Rock just gave him that look and what in the blue hell is wrong with you? Like whatever it was that he did. It was great stuff. Kit Tyson in the chat room tonight. Hello, Kit. Hello. And Andrew Elder says Bruce knows how to do storylines. Bruce knows how to write for television, and he knows how to produce for television. Paul Heyman, he did great with the SmackDown 7, in 2002 to 2004. He caught lightning in a bottle with the ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, but WWE ECW was a disaster. And granted, you could say that was partly because of the fighting with Vince McMahon over the vision of the thing and whatever. But bottom line is it didn't work out. And I don't know if it's fair to say that this run didn't work out as much as it's just like he was always like anybody who is put in charge of these shows. Once ratings go down, you'll always be used as the scapegoat. So it's like Bruce is running both Raw and SmackDown, and really, as much as people say that ratings don't matter anymore, they always get brought up at the shareholder meetings. And Vince always has a thing to say about it. And the last time they made the big change with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff taking over was, I can't be in the weeds anymore, and we want to increase our ratings, and I got to take a look at the bigger picture of storytelling, which of course Vince never did. He's always been micromanaging from the get-go. Bruce, you will eventually have to fall on that sword if the ratings don't start climbing. Paul was trying to build stars. Aleister Black, Andrade, Angel Garza. He was all of Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. Look what he was doing with them. He was trying to build stars, but it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 6 months. It doesn't happen in a year. It could take longer than that. So to say that this was a failure is a little tough. But Bruce is proven. Paul is not in telling stories and running television. Bruce was there in the Attitude Era. That's all you need to know. Victoria is back. All right. Good. How is our little girl doing?
Don't ask.
Not good. All right. So we got Kit Dyson in the chat room tonight as well, Victoria.
Hello.
So, all right. Iconics are backstage. Peyton Roy says she's excited to see Billie Kay beat up Ruby Riott. They make fun of Riot's tattoos and call her a loser, has no chance, and she can't get in touch with Liv Morgan. Riott walks up. They, of course, scream, and they're scared, and Riott doesn't know where Liv Morgan is. Her focus isn't there, though. Her focus is on them, which is bad for the Iconics. It won't be iconic. It'll be tragic. And, yes, it certainly was tragic because it's going to be Billie Kay in a singles match against Ruby Riott, which of course is very, very tragic. Now the cool thing was when they did that thing with the Iconics and Ruby Riott, when Riott walked off, she walked off next to MVP and Cedric Alexander. So
yes.
That, again, just the Bruce Pritchard specialty, blending one story into another.
Which is key, I think.
Yeah, there's not a lot of camera cuts. It's all happening, in one place. CJ Bowman making a good point here too. As much as fans like when wrestlers have creative control, the NWO should have taught fans one thing: TV writers tend to be better at writing wrestlers than wrestlers. Yeah, I agree with that. My argument, and I never ever thought that people should ever get creative control. And I don't know where we're getting the creative control thing right now, but I don't think anybody should have creative control just because of the Hulk Hogan clause in everything. How selfish he was and, putting himself over. No, wrestlers should not have creative control. But they should have creative liberty to kind of flesh their characters out a little bit. Now, the writers tell them where to go, but it needs to be a team effort.
Organic at this point.
Yeah, it needs to be organic. It needs to be a team effort where it's like, okay, this is the vision that we see for this character. What's your input on that? Okay, well, that's a good idea, but we're still gonna go with this idea. But we're gonna give you some liberty to go out there. Here's some bullet points and go out there and just kind of flesh that character out. Let's see what happens. At this rate, because I was thinking about it. It's funny. I was thinking about this because I've been kicking around a project in my head. I'm not ready to announce it yet, but this project is going to be a long-term project if I do decide to go for it. And it would probably be sometime after SummerSlam that I kind of commit to this thing. Hold on, Victoria. I gotta take a sip of water here.
You're so funny.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, in terms of... No, go ahead.
I was thinking about, who from this group is going to... And Doug's show kind of got me thinking about it, too. Who from this roster, of young talent is going to step up and be that next star?
I'm having a hard time figuring that out right now.
Yeah, and it's like, and I was thinking tonight, I was thinking, has there ever been a time in Vince McMahon's career where no one steps out of the pack? No one. I kind of feel like this is going to be, like we're living at a time where it's just, you got a bunch of great athletes, but no characters.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
But we'll never know if we have characters if all you do is script everything that they're doing.
Yeah, you can't micromanage
You'll never get that Austin 316 story. Now, Steve Austin, before that, everybody forgets, because they only remember him really from 98 to 2001 or 2002.
Right, his peak of his career.
Because by that point he had broken his neck. He was significantly slowed down. Sloan, is that a word? I don't know.
I don't know what you said.
I'm saying he was significantly slowed down. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
And
here.
you just kind of combined.
But before the Austin 316 thing, he was an unbelievable wrestler.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything.
No.
It's all about characters.
They have the talent.
Who's going to emerge? And CJ's bringing up Roman Reigns in the chat room right now, but I'm not even worried about Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is in his mid-30s right now. Seth Rollins is in his mid-30s. These guys are, they are the stars of today. Who's going to be the star of tomorrow? That's what I'm talking about here. Who's going to step out from this pack of Apollo Crews or, Andrade, Angel Garza, these young talents and take that next step forward. Austin Theory, the guys on NXT, who's going to step out from there?
You wish you can channel the character development of the Attitude Era with the talent they have now. WWE would be unstoppable if they were able just to match it up a little bit better. There's people who have potential for sure, but then You know, you talk about like control, like wrestler control and crowd control. I think what they don't do is sometimes they don't strike while the iron's hot, and sometimes they do.
That's
you know,
true.
Something like Daniel Bryan happened very organically. You know, even though he's one who had a very amazing skill set, right? Amazing wrestler, but his character developed on his own. You know, like with the crowd, the yes movement and everything to that effect. So sometimes they don't capitalize on that. Sometimes they wait too long when something. So yeah, I'm not saying the crowd should control everything because no offense, because sometimes the WWE audience is very foolish and they're very silly in what they want, you know, and you can't appease everybody. But there is something to be said when like 99% of the majority of your audience, kids, including adults, is behind somebody.
Yeah.
You do have to take that into consideration as well. I'm even going to go as far as saying, remember when we were watching Tough Enough and Sarah Lee? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that Sarah Lee girl. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the reason why I bring her up is
Yeah.
because Triple H, he said to her, right? He said, I really don't like you. He actually said, remember he said, I really don't like you that much, but my kids like you.
Right.
So he said there's something to be said about that. He's like, you have a very likable personality in that aspect. People do seem to be drawn to you for whatever reason. For he didn't really like her moves, and he didn't feel that she was advancing as much as somebody like Daria at the time and Mandy Rose, you know?
Yes.
There was other people who from that group who are on the main roster today.
Chelsea Green.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that he knew, though, at the time, people liked her.
Yeah.
People were behind her. Kids liked her. So you do have to kind of factor that in. There is something to like the crowd. If, again, Drew McIntyre works because the crowd's behind him. He's not, even though he's a top guy and even though you have everybody else behind him, behind the scenes, right? But the crowd also really enjoys him. So that's why Drew McIntyre is doing as well as he's doing as well.
Right.
Is right now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we can talk about the issues and with the company for quite some time.
Yeah, that's
until
not
the
what we're
cows come
doing
home.
about. Yeah.
I don't know how we got off on this conversation, but CJ does get me thinking, about things like that, which means that we're long overdue for a State of WWE podcast, CJ. So start thinking about it. But I do agree. CJ did say in the chat room that Angel Garza, if it might be the one to step out. I do love Angel Garza. I've extolled his talent many times on this
amazing.
show in the past. So yeah, they have some people there. It's just who is going to step up. And
they have to hone in on the potential, though.
And who's going to get the writer that's going to write them the story that will allow them to step up.
Yeah,
we shall see.
The writers have to be more consistent too.
Yeah, well, it's hard to be consistent when you're constantly in fear of losing your job. Now that should change. That should be something that changes in this company. So MVP was talking to Cedric Alexander. He had a great line on Cedric. He tries to get him to join with him. Alexander doesn't buy into it. And he goes, well, how about, Ricochet has a new WWE 365 show on the WWE Network, and you have nothing. I'm in the hurt business, but you're in the catering business, and that's where you'll be standing as you watch others move ahead of you. Bon appetit. I thought that was a great line, and I was like, damn, that was a solid enough line to like make me think like Extreme Rules. MVP is becoming United States champion with Cedric Alexander helping him. Like that's how good it was. I really dug that. Interesting little segment backstage with Randy Orton listening to Ric Flair talk about his victory. All of a sudden, 24/7 champion R-Truth bumps into Orton. Orton's mad. There's a great little thing with R-Truth talking to Ric Flair, and he goes, you clean up pretty well for the dirtiest player in the game. Maybe too well. Tozawa. I was watching Ric Flair the entire time, thinking like, I've been in this business for 50 years. I've done it all. Like this is,
and this is where
weird segment.
It totally is. But I to be honest with you though, I think somebody like Ric Flair actually totally embraces it.
Totally.
And was probably very, very excited to be part of it.
I bet you Ric Flair would rather be doing stuff with R-Truth than anything at this point in his career. I
want to do stuff with R-Truth.
I know. I think about the stuff.
Ew, stop.
I think about like Ric Flair with Jay Lethal, in TNA, going back and forth, where Jay was doing the Ric Flair imitation. They were going back and forth with the wooing, and just like Ric Flair is nuts, and R-Truth like totally fits his style.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tozawa comes in, and so R-Truth runs off. Orton stops Tozawa and points him in the wrong direction, and everybody's like, well, why did he do that? Why did he just point Tozawa in the wrong direction? Like, I really thought like there was going to be a segment tonight where Randy Orton attacks R-Truth and Ric Flair becomes a 24/7 champion. I'm not going to lock anything because that's Doug's gimmick, and I'm certainly not going to drink if I'm wrong because, again, that's Doug's gimmick. I'll drink anyway, but
okay.
But if Ric Flair doesn't become the 24/7 champion by the end of July, I'll be stunned. I really think this is going to happen. I really think.
I think Ric Flair wants to be the 24/7 champion.
I think Ric Flair's got one more title run in him, and it's the 24/7 title.
Woo!
That'll be a woo. That'll be a woo. If that happens, we're gonna Skype my cousin Brett, who has he has like a robe, the Ric Flair wig, and he's just gonna come in.
Brett's
and
the best.
He's gonna do Ric Flair promos on the show the entire time.
Brett is the best.
I will make that happen. CJ Bowman says he's thinking about the State of the WWE podcast. We'll do it. Jorge Oliva says I would like to see Ric Flair team up with AJ Styles. That is
a good pair up.
Like if Flair managing Styles would be pretty darn good.
I think
that could be good.
You know what too, Flair
could be great with anything.
He could be great with anything.
I don't think he should be around because of the COVID thing right now.
I think he should be around COVID,
if they're utilizing him,
and hopefully he just stays away from the alcohol.
Yeah,
so it's tough now at this point in his life. But I really do.
I will never stop drinking. Just like I will never retire.
He will never retire, Ric Flair.
I love him.
They'll never keep him away.
I did not love Billie Kay versus Ruby Riott. I talked about last week the secret sauce to Billie Kay being just managing Peyton Royce as Peyton Royce takes off on a singles career. Billie Kay is a great character. We talked about those characters. She's a great character and a horrible, horrible professional wrestler. Even in a short abbreviated match against Ruby Riott, like she just had to hit her finisher, whatever that finisher is, and totally botched it. They tried to like do a quick camera cut to make it look not botched. It was botched and it was ugly. Yeah. So Billie Kay.
Poor Billie Kay.
Poor Ruby Riott having to work with her.
Poor anybody has to work with her, really.
Oh, that's a good point. CJ actually brought that up. AJ Styles and Ric Flair did work together before in TNA as Fortune. Oh, yeah. See, I never watched TNA. I honest to God, like when I would do those, like, and every now and then, like on my random playlist, like a TNA review that I did with Dave Stevens will pop up with the audio of it.
Oh gosh!
And I'm like, I watched that. Like I actually listened to myself do the match rundown, like the quick results.
Yes.
At the start of the pay-per-view, and I'm like, I don't remember watching this.
I remember you making me watch it with you, and I'm like, why am I doing this right now?
I don't remember it.
It was such a letdown. Every aspect of it was
I don't
not
remember
good.
I never watched TNA. It was horrible. It was hard. I would like. I loved the Wrestleview Radio Network, the VIP network, but when that went down, I was not upset to not do TNA pay-per-view recaps anymore.
Well, you and Dave though used to go off on other topics, so it kind of like I think that's why you always committed to it.
Dave was such a bastard though. Like especially like if I was like late getting home or something like that,
yeah.
And like I was like, dude, I didn't watch the first match, so you take that. And he would do this to me. He'd be like, so Mike, the first match, I gotta go get a soda. You talk about the first match. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. And I had like,
was this when you were like in the band and you'd come home late for a show?
No, just like they were always on Sunday night. And for whatever reason, like, I would never go to Dad's house on a pay-per-view, on a WWE pay-per-view Sunday. but we'd always wind up at his house
on a TNA
pay-per-view. And it's like, and then they're like, oh, stay for coffee, stay for dessert, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, and then I missed that first match, and then Dave would always leave me at the dry. Ugh, bastard. I agree with CJ. Scott Steiner was the best part about TNA. I just found this compilation of Scott Steiner promos from like 2 weeks ago, like all of his greatest hits, and it was pretty damn funny. Anyway, Billie Kay sucks in the ring. Outside of the ring, she's all right.
Oh.
Nikki Cross on commentary for the next match. She was hilarious because as soon as we come out there, you know, she's technically not allowed to be there since she's SmackDown. She doesn't have a cross-brand title or anything like that. So she's not supposed to be there, but the commentators vouch for her. Security's there, and she's like, I'll be nice. Just leave me alone. I'm here to just watch the match. And she was hilarious. And as soon as Banks and Bayley make their entrance, she's like, let me at her. And like Samoa Joe's holding her back. Nikki Cross is, again, another person who probably wouldn't be focused on if it wasn't for the pandemic. But because of the pandemic, she's another person who stepped up and had a great...
she's got a great character.
Good night, Mr. V. She's got a great character. She's totally, totally awesome.
She's adorable.
She's adorable as well. And it wasn't long before she got kicked out. Like, she didn't even make the first commercial break of Bayley versus Asuka in a champion versus champion match. She was gone immediately. She tried to go after them, and the security escorted her off, which was just... I mean, I could watch her be escorted off by security all day long.
All day, every day, while Asuka's going like this in the background.
She's trying to crawl through their legs. They like, it's ridiculous. It's absurd.
They should just have that going on. And again, Asuka's just doing her dance moves.
Yeah, Asuka doing the dance moves. Like I wish that. Oh my god, like the Kabuki Warriors and Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss just be like a stable. Like, I'm all about stables right now. I just love it.
That would be amazing because Alexa Bliss can, you know, bring the talking into play, and the other ones can do all their like little.
Daniel Shell be happy that I mentioned Alexa Bliss if he's still here in the chat room right now. We shall see. But yeah, this is great. The match itself with Asuka and Bayley, I thought it was just too long. It really started around like 10:40 a.m. and a.m. What am I talking about? Like no, because I'm looking at my clock right now. It's 1 a.m. over here.
Well, maybe they did start at 10:40 a.m.
It felt like they started at 10:40 and it ended at 11 p.m. But it was about a 20-minute match. And that's a little too much Bayley, you know, wrestling.
Can I just say this real quick because I don't know if
you can say as much as you want.
I don't know
for as long as you want.
Well, we don't want to keep everyone here all night.
We do. How long have we been on, by the I don't even know.
I think like an hour and a half.
Almost an hour and a half. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's why I said real quick.
I didn't think we were going that long.
I just, you know, what's really, really bad when Sasha Banks came back, you know, I was skeptical at first, but then I found that she was kind of like, actually, I was enjoying her because she was playing true to like this like bad boss type gimmick that she has. You know what I really think at this point? I think Bayley's really holding her back. I think they have to go their separate ways. I honestly, like I said, I'm not the biggest Sasha Banks fan, but I think that she has way more to give than Bayley at this point. I am so done with Bayley. Anytime Bayley comes on the screen, I am over her immediately, well before she even opens her mouth. I don't want to hear her speak. I don't want to see her in a match. I just don't. I really don't. I rather watch Sasha, and I think she's holding Sasha back. I truly actually believe that. I think they're obviously great friends, and that's why they make a good team together, and they, you know, obviously enjoy working together. But I think I don't think Sasha can carry her anymore. I just don't. I'm not buying this bad girl. I'm not. I think she's just delivering her lines like, oh, I'm going to say this and I'm going to sound bad.
On the flip side, I kind of like Roy Nemmer hates Bayley with a passion. Like you read his SmackDown recaps, he can't stand it. And maybe it's because I haven't seen a lot of Bayley lately because I really don't watch SmackDown all that much unless I'm recapping it. You know, her matches on pay-per-view, on every single pay-per-view they've sucked. And she's not a very good professional wrestler. She's always been overhyped. But this heel character is kind of starting to come together, and it took a while for it to come together for me. But like, I actually find her to be pretty funny sometimes.
What?
I like
I
it.
am
I don't hate
actually
it.
shocked
I don't
right
hate it.
now. Are you kidding me?
I don't hate it.
No.
I really don't. I
You're
said it last week.
You're
I said it last
joking
week.
me. No, I definitely wasn't on the. I definitely was taking care of the baby. I definitely did not hear you say that.
No, I like Bailey's character.
What? Come on.
And I really do think that like she won't be holding Banks back much longer.
I think Banks outshines her.
She does. Obviously she does. That's why Banks is her lackey, because she is outshining her. And it's like the lackey is going to step up, and they're going to have their big match at SummerSlam.
They did her do real quick and get rid of Bailey.
Freaking real quick! They should have done it 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Like, move on.
Like they
Extreme Rules. They should have been breaking up.
They might very well break up at
They
Extreme
should.
Rules.
Can they break up tomorrow?
Or leading up into SummerSlam. I really think that they're going to have they're going to be one of the big matches at SummerSlam. I really do believe that.
God.
But again, I'm not going to get my hopes up, because 2 years ago they should have been going into SummerSlam feuding with each other, and instead it was like they had Dr. Shelby. Remember that horrible thing? And then
of course I remember that.
And that derailed that entire thing. Again,
I felt very badly for them, because there was a part of me that
I didn't they were horrible in that segment.
Well, no, I'm not going to say I fully felt bad for them the whole time, but what I'm saying is, like, when the whole thing with Banks was going on and she left and everyone's saying how she cried boo-hoo and everything, and I was part of that. I was like, she definitely, she didn't get what she wanted, right? But the reason why, like, now I'm just so against Bailey is that I think I don't think she's going through the motions. I think she's just really trying hard, and I think it sucks. I don't like her. I'm not buying Bad Girl.
I'm not saying I buy the Bad Girl either.
I don't find her funny
at
all.
I buy the goofy comedy.
I don't find it funny. I don't find her funny. I don't really. And I want you to actually look at it. I want you to watch SmackDown. I watch SmackDown more than you. Okay. No, I do. Because I watch clips throughout the week. Like, I watch, whatever.
Me too. So I watch SmackDown.
Shut up! Don't give me that look. You can't actually tell me you're gonna that she's actually.
I am literally telling you.
She's
I'm
not
sitting here and
though.
telling
But
you.
she's not. Like, she's actually not.
Okay, you're gonna tell me how I'm supposed to feel now?
When it comes to this, yeah, isn't because I really disagree with you on it.
Jeez,
she sucks.
Well, I mean, I think she sucks in the ring. I think that, but I think she's developed a nice character.
No, she hasn't. The bottom line, she has not.
Okay.
No, she hasn't. You can't convince me that she has. You can't. Why? Because of what she had a couple few months ago. That doesn't matter.
I'm not even talking a few months ago. I'm saying it just came together recently. She sucked before that.
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
Honey, you need to get your head checked.
My God. What the hell's going on here right now?
Bailey is not good. Like, she's not good.
Okay.
She's around.
Okay, she's bad. All right, I get it. God.
Bailey, bad.
Whatever, man. Jeez. Well, that was wrong.
Well, I don't know anybody who agrees with me. I want to know anybody who agrees with you. Who agrees with Mike?
Like, she's Karen.
Who?
She's a Karen.
She's not a good Karen.
She's the lady calling the cops
Karen.
on people, like, for no reason. Like,
no,
give me your manager. I'm calling the cops.
She's not even a good Karen. She's given the name Karen. She's not even a good Karen. Who agrees with Mike? Because you're going to get punched.
So we're going to see who agrees with Mike. You will be punched by Victoria, and I will shake your hand because you agree with me. And who disagrees with... so it looks like Quentin Walters preach at Victoria. And Hayden Barker says, Bailey doing her thing on Victoria. Andrew Elder...
No.
I agree with Mike.
No, Andrew. I thought you didn't want to be on my list
Victoria
again.
Will be going down to Tennessee and punching.
I thought Andrew. I thought you wanted to be on my nice list.
CJ, he's closer. He's just in. I believe he's in Brooklyn. So Victoria will be taking the shorter trip over. You be a Karen. I'll fight you, Victoria.
Wait a minute, CJ. Come on. I thought CJ would agree with me.
Quentin Walters says I'm on the couch. So Billy Hefner agrees with you. She's bad.
Thank you, Uncle Billy.
Victoria is soon to appear on Raw to call out Bailey from Hayden. Kit says he agrees with me.
What? Who are you people?
Bashoon Wall says I'm going to be getting a woman's right very soon.
Oh my God. What is wrong with you people?
Some people agree with you and some don't. It's right now it seems to be pretty 50-50, I will say that.
Oh my, I am flabbergasted.
I told you, I think she's doing all right. I think it's okay. I think you got to watch more clips.
You see that couch right there, everybody?
I'm sitting on it right now. Actually, I slept on it this afternoon. It's pretty comfortable.
Well, you're going to sleep there for the next few days.
Wow. Okie doke. On that note,
damn.
Yeah, it's.
Damn.
Damn. Wow. All right. So my wife just pulled out Ron Simmons. That's all right. I'll live with that.
I'm hallucinating.
She's hallucinating. Hayden says, I'm going to agree with Mike just for the fun. Quentin,
whoa.
Karen sucks. Billy says she yells too much.
Yes, thank you.
CJ says, nah, I don't agree. I agree with you on a lot, just not this.
CJ.
Del Morales, Raw is okay, but Vince or management needs to bring it. Oh, okay.
All right.
I agree with
okay.
that. Or Det. I'm sorry, Det Morales.
I like that.
For butchering your name.
I like that he said bring it.
Bring it, man. Damn it.
That's great.
All right, everybody in the chat room, what do you say about this Raw? Do you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Let us know by commenting. We will read your comments, obviously. What does everybody else think about this show on Twitter? It's got a 73% thumbs up, Victoria. 73%. Victoria, what do you give this episode of Monday Night Raw?
A thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Overall, give us an overall breakdown of the show. Like
why I gave it a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay. Thought it started off very strong, and Nikki Cross at the end really sealed the deal.
Okay. All right.
That's why. It's good start, good end.
I give it a thumbs up.
Great in the middle too. Some points.
I give it a thumbs up. I thought the first 2 hours were really strong. I thought the third hour kind of dragged, but Bailey made it for me.
Whoa! I'm gonna crinkle this water bottle.
Wow, my goodness.
What can I throw at you right now?
the match sucked with Asuka and Bailey. It went too long, but Bailey doing her Bailey thing, I was okay with that. I can live with that.
I'm gonna throw this pillow.
Oh my god! Jesus Christ! Psycho! My god!
I caught it.
You did catch it. That's pretty good. Anyway, and I overshot you anyway. So in the chat room, Andrew just says, well, I'll be on the list for a week or so. Quentin Walters, Mike on the couch. Clip it. Det Morales, if AEW brings AEW Dark to Monday and WWE is done. I don't know about that. Det. I don't think AEW Dark is with 12 squash matches is taking Raw down, but we shall see. Hayden Barker, thumbs didn't watch. Andrew Elder, thumbs up this show, 5 stars. Thank you, Andrew. Very, very good. Very, very good. We appreciate that, obviously. Machine Walls get a thumbs up. Billy Hefner did not watch it tonight. Quentin Walters, thumbs up, but it's better simply because Sheil returned to the chat room. Don't throw the damn pillow at me. Jorge Oliva, Raw gets a B-, recap gets an A++. All right. I like that. So if anybody else has any other comments, I will read them. Seems like, oh God. Ow. Why is this pillow so stiff? What is wrong with this thing? You could have hit me with a zipper right here.
That's what I was doing.
My God. This really, it's like, it's not, there's no give whatsoever. Oh my God. What a goof. What a goon. What the hell is going on? This show's like off the tracks. All right. Oh wow. My face really hurts from just taking that. Wow. Ouch. Anyway. That'll do it for the Post Raw recap this week. We will be back for Post Raw number 89 next week. I know we'll be back next week. And then hopefully we can get down the shore at some point after that. In the meantime, a lot of fun. I don't think you've ever seen a pillow fight on a Post Raw show before.
I hope Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez have a pillow fight.
I don't think Dave's ever done a pillow fight. I don't think so. Corey Howell, Post Raw, thumbs up. Quentin Walters says, welcome to Wrestleview live on my couch. CJ Bowman, State of Wrestling podcast in August. We should go live, Tabasco. I'm down with that all day long.
I love your
CJ.
shows together.
I will do a live State of Wrestling podcast in August.
I love your shows together.
I will absolutely.
It's so much fun.
That
Don't worry,
right
I'm not throwing my water bottle at you.
Good.
I looked. You were looking at my water bottle.
Adios, giggly Tedescos. Pillow is strong style. Yeah, that is a strong style pillow. See you in another week. Yes, everybody, we will see you in another week. We hope, and by the way, we hope everybody enjoyed their Independence Day weekend and all that stuff. We'll be back again for Post Raw number 89 next Monday. And until then, have yourselves a great week, and we'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye.